Becoming wealthy is easier than you think. And today I'm going to share some of my story with you about how I went from 0 to 10 million in just 4 years. A little bit about my background. When I left school, I went to work for the tax department, and I was working in what was known at the time as Schedule D, which was for self-employed people. And I started by opening up and setting all the system up for new businesses. And then I later moved into what was called appeals. And appeals were where businesses had so much time to file their accounts. If they didn't file them, a tax return was created on their behalf. And that tax return, the whole concept of it was that it was an estimate. The idea was to try and encourage people to put their taxes in and get their taxes up to date. And if they didn't like what we created, they were able to appeal it. And then that appeal went through to a court, and that court was made up of peers, other business owners, and they made the decision whether you had so much time to get your accounts in or whether what was estimated by the tax department stood. So that became my next job. So I was always working around self-employed people. I spent 4.5 years with the tax department. I met my husband, moved from the UK to New Zealand, and I went into banking. And I love banking. I did so many different things within banking. When I started, it was the first time that an ATM went in New Zealand. It went into the bank that I started with, and my job was teaching people how to use an ATM, setting up their cards so that they could do deposits and withdrawals. And yes, we had deposit facilities in New Zealand right from day one. Then I moved into accounting, and from accounting I moved to the IT department. And my role there was encoding checks. We had those old checks and they had a magnetic strip on them, so I was encoding those checks. And then I moved into bringing all the mortgages, which up until that date were manual, and moving them onto computer. I later went into Visa, where I learned all the credit card. I did credit card applications, approvals, solving problems for clients. So I became the Visa department. Went out into banking, into the branch banking, where I was a teller, a head teller. I got promoted. I did probates in the bank, and eventually I came back into the head office environment where I dealt with mortgages and securities. So I had a huge, huge background in banking and in finance in general. So I knew a lot around taxes, and the principles of taxes are fairly similar in most countries. So I learned the principles of taxes, and I learned all about banking. So when I became self-employed, I was able to switch into a different mode, is probably the term I'm looking for, because I already had a background and I knew how finance would work around me. I became self-employed because I had a car crash, and that car crash left me learning to learning to walk for 2 years. And basically the stress that the body was going through, the stress that the mind is going through, meant that I wasn't able to cope with day-to-day working. And so I started um, setting up passive business, if you like. I went to work with my husband, but I started running some businesses on the side that were generating passive income for me. And I was self-employed for 10 years. Um, my husband and I decided we wanted something else. We moved to Australia. We were only in Australia for a short time when we moved back to the UK because my mum had died. I lost 6 members of my family over the next 8 months and decided, hey, these opportunities in Britain, and that is where my story starts. So just want to give you a bit of background so you know that um, I knew a little bit around finance and I knew a little bit around business. But when we arrived in the UK, my husband was on a tourist visa, which meant he wasn't allowed to work. And so with the earning the money while we were in the UK fell to me. Now, building wealth is something that we had looked at many times. But like most people, we've never done anything with it. You know, we tried and it didn't work, and we tried that and it didn't work, and we just thought, you know what, maybe this isn't going to work for us. And then one day, I just had this light bulb moment, and I thought, I have tried so many different things. Other people make them work. Why can't I? And so I started looking at what the difference was between why other people were getting the results and I wasn't. And it came down to just one thing, and that was I didn't have a plan. I was just ad hocing from day to day, and I didn't actually have a plan of what I wanted to do or how I was going to build that wealth. Putting that plan together just changed everything. Overnight, everything changed. My focus totally changed. And that allowed us to go from borrowing 300 on a credit card to making 10 million in the next 4 years. So in this session today, I want to talk about the planning because we hear so much about, oh, set your goals and um, visualize this, do that, do the other, but we never plan it. And that is the transition period, knowing what you want to do and how you intend to get there. So moving from where you are now to where you want to go is a lot of little steps. And it's having that plan in place that keeps you focused on where you want to be and how you want to go forward. So when I put my plan together, I looked at what are the things that I know about, what am I good at, what is the route that I want to follow to build my wealth, and what are things I think I can do or I need to learn more. And I came up with what I think of it as a very simple plan. Step one, I was going to build businesses. Step two, invest the profits into digital assets. Now, digital assets are shares. Today we have cryptocurrency, so I use shares and cryptocurrency today. But this was going into shares. I was going to buy property. I was going to get gold and silver. And then what I was going to do was write about my experiences, create and self-publish books that I could share my journey with people. And that is exactly what I did. Now, because my husband was on a tourist visa, we had to have a way of making money, and he couldn't work, so I had to. And I'd applied for a lot of jobs, and eventually I got a job with a waste management company, and I was their admin. I was on minimum wage. It was barely enough. I can tell you, we lived on beans on toast for, I don't know how many meals we had beans on toast for, because there just wasn't enough to buy more food. Everything went into keeping the roof over our head. But while I was holding that job, I was actually doing side hustles, and I had a few of them. I don't believe in doing just one thing. I think you have to do several things, and you'll see that throughout everything that I share with you, I'm always doing multiple things. And I started off with a what I call a catalog business, which was deliver catalogs to people's homes, let them have a look if they wanted anything out of the catalog. They could place an order. So every day, my husband and I, we walked out in the evening after I'd worked. We went over to the shopping centre where they had all the estate agents. We were going and studying what was happening with property. And on the way over, we put out the catalogues. And on the way back, we collected the catalogues from the previous night and took the orders. So I expanded my catalogue business so that I then had two catalogues, and I had Clean Easy and Avon, and I just put the two together, and people just got two catalogues in their deliveries every night. That started generating enough money for me that I could start investing in shares. And I'm going to talk to you about shares in another episode. But I put the plan in place and I started working that plan. And it was very small to start with. My aim was to build it up so I had £100 a month profit coming in. And all of the money I made was going into shares. So now I've got this plan. I know that I'm going to be building businesses, and I built catalog businesses. I then built other online businesses. I started to invest that money into shares, as I said I would, and I did a deal that got me my first property, and I'm going to explain that to you in another video. And then I was able to start buying the gold and silver as well. And it was a very small amount. But reinvesting and using the compound effect, that grew very, very quickly to 10 million over 4 years. So what I want you to take away from this video today is there needs to be a plan. The plan focuses the mind. It makes you think about what you want to do, concentrate on getting the results that you want. You start small and you build on it, and you reinvest and reinvest. So what is your plan? Now, as I said, my plan started with things that I knew I could do. Running a catalog business, it did not take any brains to do that. It was just put an order form in, a small booklet, and deliver it. There was nothing special about doing that. Okay. So I started the businesses, and it was later that I moved to those businesses going online. And today I suggest you start online because that's how most people get what they want and start doing mixed purchases that they want is online. So for you to start a business, start a side hustle, and think of something That is very simple. You do not need a lot of skill or knowledge to do it. And I can tell you one of the first things I recommend to my clients is that they walk around their home and they look at something they haven't used for 6 months and they're unlikely to use in the next 6 months, and go and put it on eBay or Etsy or one of those platforms, marketplace, whatever you want to put it on, and see what you can sell and generate some income. Clients have generated from £211 up to £5,500 in 1 month, just going around and seeing what they have that they're not likely to use. And we're all guilty of it. We all accumulate things. So the plan is start a business. Look at what you are good at. For me, I can write. That's where the books came in. So my plan, I'm just going to reiterate that to you to help you just crystallize what you want to do. So my plan was to build some businesses, invest those profits into digital assets, then start buying property, buy some gold and silver, and write about the success that I had. That was my plan, and that's what generated the wealth for me. So just take some time to think about what it is that you want. And don't say, oh my goodness, I'd like to invest in property, but I need 50,000 to start investing in property. I started with zero. I started a business with zero. I actually started shares. I had £1 just to buy my very first share. Everything starts small and you just repeat until you get the results that you want. So go and put that plan together. Go and have a look. Think about what you could do and how you could get started on this journey to wealth, income, and lifestyle.